Anytime you beg another man to set you free, you will never be free. Freedom is something that you have to do for yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to make a video about something slightly different today just because of an interaction that I had. Now, I watched a Twitter broadcast the other day, people saying they had a silver bullet solution to save Canada. And I actually thought they had a good idea. There are people who wanted to force a constitutional convention in Canada so that we could draft a new constitution for the country. Because everything's really going to shit. We don't have a government that represents the people. And everybody kind of feels that. And they think that that's a good solution to that. And really, I think that that might be a good solution. That might be a good path forward. I said so on my Twitter page shortly after it happened. But this particular group that had this, What's Up Canada, they're pretty much advocating this idea that Islam isn't compatible with Canadian society and that we'll have to choose between Islam or women's rights. And when I pointed out that countries like Indonesia have the largest Muslim majority population on the planet, they've always had women's rights. Callie, go away. When I pointed that out, just kind of ignored that, just kind of mocked me and insisted that Islam is incompatible with women's rights. There's well over 1 billion Muslims on the planet. A lot of them love their wives, they love their mothers, they love their daughters, they love their sisters, just like us. That's not to say that there isn't a sect in Islam that doesn't have a whole lot of respect for women. They oppress women, but they also oppress each other. And when I pointed out that, like, in 1970s, Iran looked a whole lot like the United States, just kind of ignored that too, and just kind of doubling down on this idea that that it's not compatible. And I think this is just a sign. I hope it's not people who are doing this on purpose, but there's certain people who they're really not fit to take the lead on these things, because you can't unify people around a common good while you're dividing people that heavily. It should be something that's really obvious, and it's troubling to me that it's not obvious for some reason. Yeah, let's go this way. And so I started pretty much saying exactly these things, that you're not going to unify people around a common goal while you're dividing them. It's really fucking simple. And if you don't see that, you're either an agent of the government who is doing that on purpose to make sure that that objective is never reached, or you're someone who is, quite frankly, just an idiot and deeply ignorant of the world you live in. Now, when I called out the gentleman who was saying these things, he engaged me in a little bit of an argument. I have the screenshots of all of this, and he's pretty much saying that I called him Satan because in this argument I said, "Step behind me, Satan," to him, which is actually a Bible quote that Jesus said to Peter. You can look that up. And then I see that after he blocked me, he started completely misrepresenting the argument we had on his other social media and on Twitter after he blocked me. And quite frankly, he's just overtly lying about everything that the argument was about. And again, I have the screenshots to prove that. But I feel like these people need to be called out because they're a roadblock to the change that they say they're trying to make. You're never going to unify the country around the idea that 1 in 20 Canadians should be forced to abdicate their religion. That's insane. I don't think this guy cares at all about saving the country. I think he's really interested in, like, purging the country of Muslim people that he's deeply bigoted towards. And again, I don't know if he's an agent provocateur doing that on purpose, or again, he's just a stupid person. But we have to be really careful around who we get to lead the charge on these matters, because the powers that be, they don't want people to get angry at them. They want us to get angry at each other. And as long as we are short-sighted and stupid and willing to fight with each other instead of going after the people who are actually fucking all of us, they're going to end up on top, and they're going to stay. They're going to just stay on top. We're never going to dislodge these people who are in power, who are enslaving us to debts that shouldn't exist. And I feel the need to defend myself on this, just because I've made the error in the past of not defending my own reputation. And again, like, my interest is in actually helping everyone in this country, regardless of what they think or believe. We're all being used like slaves by these people. And fighting each other is not the path to changing that. It's the behavior that has us entrenched in these circumstances. So this guy, Wayne, just started flagrantly lying about the entire thing, started calling me a jihadist. I was raised Catholic. I have a crucifix tattooed on my back. I mean, I practice Buddhism, but I mean, it's really my own beliefs have kind of fused Christianity and Buddhism together. Which is why I quoted a Bible verse at him when I said, "Step behind me, Satan." And yeah, we need the people to take the lead on this who are actually equipped to see that through. These people who want to divide everybody and get everybody to fight with each other, like this guy's saying that Islam is incompatible with Canadian society. Now, I would argue that there's definitely sects of Islam that are extremists, and there's people in certain parts of the world that are more likely to practice that form of extremism, and we should be careful about immigrating extremists into the country. But the extremists are not the majority of the Muslim world. If you go to Indonesia, they're not extremists. They're not trying to kill you. I was in Malaysia. While I was in Thailand, I spent some time in Malaysia. I experienced kindness from those people that I'd never experienced in Canadian society. And I was there for like a week. Like within a week of being there, I experienced acts of kindness towards me and my family that doesn't happen in Canadian society. I feel like there's a lot of sheltered people, and like I said, these people might be agent provocateurs, but they're also just people who may have been brainwashed to hate each other, because that's the agenda that we suffer under. They want us to hate each other. They want us to fight over our petty differences. And they sure as fuck don't want us to unify around bettering things for all of us, unifying against our common enemy in the government, the insane corruption that we have in our government. So really, I mean, I want to call these people out because they're bad actors, or at the worst, they're bad actors, and at the best, they're people who are completely unfit to take the charge on this. And again, the myth is Canada, and something Truth Seeker, I forget her name, she's fairly popular on social media now. At least I see her on my social media quite a bit because she's in Canada. But one of the participants in this broadcast was advocating for people to join the sovereign citizen movement. Now, I, in 2012, got in trouble with the RCMP when I applied for my firearms license, just for having looked into that group. Like, literally, I just looked on their website, saw what they were kind of talking about, maybe asked a question or two. Wasn't really even seriously pursuing it. I just wanted to know what these people were talking about, because I saw some interesting videos about the free man on the land movement. I found out in 2012 that the government was spying on me for that. And like the Edward Snowden revelations came out in 2013. So people thought I was like insane when I said in 2012 that the government was spying on what I did online. Because back then that was a tinfoil hat crackpot conspiracy that nobody believed in. And I mean, there were some people who believed it, but it was like the conspiracy theorist crowd. Now, I found out a few years later that our government regards that movement as like one of the top domestic terrorist threats. So you have a girl who's encouraging people to join what our government regards as a domestic terrorist organization and you've got a guy pretty much saying that we're going to get rid of all the Muslims in Canada. And then the third participant in this group was a guy who was saying that viruses don't exist. So, like, these aren't serious people at all. Sorry, a lot of his page is just racist bullshit. So it's like, what kind of Canada are you trying to work towards? It's like you want to create an ethno-state where you force people to believe what you believe. That's not a better Canada. That's not a silver bullet for a better Canada. That's a tyrannical fucking bullshit path where this guy wants to use the government to take out people that he doesn't like from our society, which is fucked. And I'm not about that at all. So, yeah, I engage with him in an argument saying that that's fucked up. That's not the path forward. And he insists that it is. So, I mean, do you want to force Muslim people to give up their religious beliefs? Follow that guy. If you want to stop the government from enslaving you and your children and forcing you to pay for shit that you don't want to pay for, follow me. Now, I say that we need to be careful about who we allow into the country because you just look at what's happening in Europe, look what's happening in the UK. They did import a lot of extremists there, and they're not really compatible with their own society. But that was done intentionally by the people on top so that people would fight each other. That's what the agenda is. That's why they're going after people on social media more than they're going after people who are committing acts of violence and calling for acts of violence and like really horrible things. And that's being done on both sides, and unfortunately. It's actually really disgusting that the people in power have gotten all these people to fight each other. And we have to stop falling for it. If we keep falling for this shit, they're just going to divide and conquer us over and over and over and over again. And that's the pattern of history that we need to break, is this divide and conquer bullshit. Anyone who's promoting division while trying to change things, like we have a lot more fucking shit to deal with than the differences between Christians and Muslims. That's so fucking insecure, and honestly, that's so insignificant compared to how we're all being enslaved. And to be perfectly honest, Muslim people are very much against usury. They're against this idea that you can force people to pay off debt that was created from nothing with compound interest applied. These people could be a huge ally in our fight to actually make a better world for ourselves. And if we make enemies out of each other, we're just going to end up in a world where we're all enemies and we're not working towards a better good. We're just getting fucked by the same people, only they'll have all this new technology to fuck us even harder. So really, the time has come to unify against these people who are fucking us, not to fight each other. Like, really, this is fucking stupid.